Hello and welcome to another episode of Historically Marked, another rock and roll edition, and this one is about a legendary radio station that has been on the air for a long time, and it played a big mark on the history of rock and roll as well as the career of Elvis Presley. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. Alright, so that is the Combined Media Group building, or so it says on the door, but one of the radio stations that is broadcasting in that building is KPOC or KPOC. And by the way, I am just northeast of Pocahontas, Arkansas, and there's a historical marker here. And here's what the marker says along, this is, by the way, Highway 62 and Highway 67. And Highway 67 was designated as a rock and roll themed highway by the Arkansas State Legislature. But here's what the marker says. In the mid-1950s, Elvis Presley's career was just beginning to take off. Elvis had made at least one record at Sun's studio in Memphis when he and his then manager made a stop at this location to request that his record be played on KPOC. He was greeted by and visited with KPOC announcer Bill Nicholson, who described him as a shy, polite young man who obviously had a lot of talent. KPOC played his record and thus played a small part in Elvis's rise to stardom. Sponsored by the Five Rivers Historic Preservation Incorporated, Pocahontas FFA, RCTA, and Combined Media Group. Now, KPOC is still on the air. Now, back then, during the mid-1950s, AM was what everyone was listening to on the radio. But today, it is Light 104.1 KPOC. Well, it's also broadcasting in AM. Unfortunately, there's not much. I mean, I did a lot of research on the station, but there really wasn't much I could find. But this is the building that it was in. So, I mean, that's something I did not know until just now. I was passing by this place looking for another marker, and I stumbled upon this. I mean, it's one of those impromptu episodes, and it is safe to assume that is the tower. And 104.1 KPOC FM is adult contemporary, which means more like a middle of the road or soft rock. The marker's kind of faded from there. So the only thing I could tell you is that Elvis Presley did pay his dues performing at clubs here in northeast Arkansas, and yes, it is possible that him and his manager or his friend or whoever, it says on the marker, well, it does say manager, but I mean, he probably was performing here in Pocahontas, and he said, you know what, we need to play our record play at the station. And it doesn't even say the song, and I want to say either Blue Moon of Kentucky or That's Alright Mama. And That's Alright Mama has always been known to be one of his first ever hits. And no, it was not meant to be a birthday gift to his mother, according to a legend, but so if anybody has any more additional information about this, then this is just awesome. A little piece of rock and roll and Elvis Presley history. Here we go. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. Sorry it was a little brief, but I thought it was worth doing an episode on, especially for all Elvis Presley fans and early rock and roll fans like myself. I couldn't resist. So I am Jason in Pocahontas, Arkansas, signing off.